movie reviews is what we need to be doing. And you mentioned From the World of John Wick. So carry on.
Ballerina.
Oh, colon. Okay.
When you think of me, you should think of fire, risen from the ashes again and again. That's what, if you've seen the trailer, that line comes up so many times. So this is a John Wick spin-off set between the events of Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Directed by Len Wiseman, who did a lot of stuff on the Underworld series and did that 2012 Total Recall, and written by Shay Hatton. And as far as I can tell, so he wrote a spec script. The spec script was bought after being on the blacklist. Then he wound up working on the John Wick movies because they liked the spec script, and now they decided to do this. So Ana de Armas, who I like very much, is in the lead role of Eve. She is, as the title would suggest, a ballerina assassin who begins to train as an assassin in order to exact revenge on the people who did away with her family. And the character originally appeared in the other films, played by somebody else, Ana de Armas taking it over. Ana de Armas co-starred with Keanu. I don't know whether you remember this. She co-starred with Keanu Reeves in Knock Knock, and then she also co-starred with him in that weird film that I told you about. It was recut as Exposed, but it was originally called Daughter of God, and it was much more interesting in the original version. And then she had a scene-stealing appearance in the James Bond franchise, so like her very much. So here is a clip from the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. The students all talk about you. How do I get out of here?
The front door is unlocked.
No, I mean, how do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
Now
he delivers every line exactly the same, doesn't he?
I know. But obviously the unmistakable tones of Keanu. And one of the reasons that clip is available is because, hey, Keanu's in it. Let me tell you right now, Keanu is in it very, very briefly. I mean, the film is funny because it said on the FDA list that it was 91 minutes long. And I was watching it thinking, this isn't 91 minutes long. It's actually over 2 hours, and he's in about 10 minutes of them. The film has a very messy past. So they started filming in 2022. They were in post-production in 2023. Then in 2024, there was all this stuff about reshoots. And do you remember you interviewed Keanu and Chad, is it you pronounce it Stahelski?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Who, obviously was the John Wick mainstay. And the reports were that originally he was working on additional action sequences because that's really his forte. He ended up overseeing months of reshoots. And as far as the reports are concerned, those reshoots are a substantial amount of the film. Then there was all this weird stuff about reviews being embargoed if they weren't any good. So somebody reported that apparently they'd been told they were allowed to post on social media if they liked the film, but if it's a negative review, you're not allowed to do it until the embargo, which I think is lifting this morning that you're listening to it. I hope it has. So it kind of, as you'd expect from the production story of it, because there's been a lot of stuff in the press about it, it is a total mess of a film. It's all over the place. And it doesn't have any of the charm, the thing that makes the John Wick movies what they are. I mean, some of the John Wick movies were quite long, but I never felt that they felt long. This does feel, I mean, there's probably a cracking 80-minute movie in that 2 hours and 5 minutes of stuff. On the plus side, Ana de Armas I like very, very much. That she was great in Blonde. She gives it some welly in the lead role, lots of kind of ass-kicking appeal. The ludicrous story about the bad place from which she came, and then the thing about she has to become the killing machine that will do nothing, that will do the Terminator thing about she will never stop until, all that stuff is fine. Also, the fact that so much of the film appears to have been reshot by Chad Stahelski, I hope I am pronouncing that right. He's very good. He knows what he's doing. And you kind of think, well, honestly, if it's him or Len Wiseman, I'll be fine. Some of the action sequences when they get going are crunchy fighty. I like the John Wick crunchy fighty stuff. There is, as I said at the beginning, that line about when you think of me, think of fire. And there is a quite entertaining showdown between a flamethrower and a hose, which is kind of fun. Do you remember in one of the John Wick movies, there's death by book?
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
in this, there's death by ice skate, and that's kind of inventive. And so there are things in it that, because I like the John Wick fighty, crunchy, crashy, and I know that every now and then, and it is every now, it's sparse, that Keanu will turn up and say something in those tones, and then he'll be on screen for a little bit because they only had him for a couple of days, I presume, and then he goes off again. But it is a car crash of a film. I mean, it looks like it's been stitched together from a whole bunch of different bits. And I already, and I only saw it yesterday, I think it was yesterday, most of it has gone out of my head, except for individual bits in which somebody hits somebody with something interesting in that kind of Three Stooges way. But what it doesn't have is that the John Wick movies got better and better and better as they went on, to the point that I think, and I think you might think this as well, that the last one was actually the best of them. When we really enjoyed it. Do you remember the up the stairs, down the stairs, up the stairs, down the stairs? I mean, that sequence was magnificent.
And in my lady's chamber as well. That was.
So, what were they calling it? Oh yeah, John Chick apparently is what the kids on the street are calling it. Right. I mean, it's punchy, crunchy, fighty, flamethrower, hose, ice skatey, stabby, and then every now and then Keanu Reeves turns up and says something slowly. And I like Ana de Armas, but it does look like a film that somebody just threw a bag of bits into a bucket and then threw them on the floor and went, there you go,